Hello, Quesnel, and welcome to QToday. I'm Susan MacNeill.
And I'm Mitch Vick, and this is our show for January 25th, 2013. On this week's show, ammonia leak at the arena and smoke signals visits Quesnel.
And an interview with Lana Johnson and Bernice Heinzelman talking about the 40th anniversary of the Quesnel Arts Council.
Here at QToday, we bring you recent news provided by our partnership with the Quesnel Caribou Observer, and we combine it, of course, with a little bit of our own commentary. And we also bring you our stories from the field, and that's from our field crews. And let's move on to the news, Susan.
So we're going to talk about the ammonia leak. The Twin Arenas reopened on Saturday morning after an ammonia leak on Friday afternoon around 3:15. The city staff have repaired the ice plant and are satisfied with the safety of the system. The leak occurred at approximately 3:15 Friday, and it was immediately evacuated. The fire department responded and secured the scene. The leak was capped off by around 4 p.m. and there was no report of injuries. And then in this picture, one youth protects his nose and his throat from the fumes.
A little bit scary, eh?
Yes, absolutely, but we have great support for this.
I remember when this happened, our store is close to that, and they were lopping off the streets as they were quarantining the area, and it was getting closer to downtown every hour there, but thankfully they got it under control and good to go.
Yes, good to go. Absolutely.
Happy ending though. So, Dr. Adams is in town. Susan, do you remember Evan Adams?
Well, yes I do, and he played in a movie called Smoke Signals.
Smoke Signals. I hear that's very popular. Well, Evan became a physician and is now the Deputy Provincial Health Officer with responsibility for Aboriginal health. He was at the North Caribou Community Campus on Thursday, giving an update on tripartite work in First Nations health. The whole landscape is changing, and Adams has been very busy. He is the past president of the Indigenous Physicians Association of Canada. Besides his medical degree, he has a Master's of Public Health. Besides all of this, just to cap it off, he's an actor. So, wow, busy fella.
Yes,
very talented.
Very talented.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And Autumn McDonald's editorial this week is applauding the two candidates for the NDP nomination that were Sushil Thapar and Duncan Barnett. She says it wasn't about winning, it was about providing the electorate with a choice. Thapar impressed McDonald because of how the crowd responded to his passion to reclaim the land. Barnett was appreciated for his statement, "It's not enough to win because the current government is unpopular." He expressed the need to change the way we do politics. So Autumn concludes by saying it's far easier to sit back and demand change, but it's entirely different to stand up and take action. So Mitch, I understand you were there. Do you have a feeling about the mood of the crowd?
Yeah, Scott Elliott and I were there. We were covering the event, doing some filming, and it was pretty electric in the room, I'll be honest. It was exciting, especially when Adrian Dix came up and did his speech. The room really got going. Yep. And I'll tell you, as someone who was just covering the event, it was difficult to not participate. It was very exciting. So yeah, I'm sure as we move forward, other candidates will be having their own events. And we look forward to their energy and what they have to say. And Scott and I will also be covering, doing interviews with those candidates and give everyone an equal opportunity, the candidates to explain their positions and how they would best represent our riding.
Well, that's good. So I know that the Liberal candidate in our riding here this time around is Corley Oakes, and the independent candidate will be Bob Simpson. So we look forward to that.
Absolutely. So, we're going to talk a little about smart meters, very controversial. Tom Fletcher wrote an article about the many people who have refused the smart meter that BC Hydro is installing on all residences in British Columbia. According to Fletcher, the technical meters have been demolished. There have been no fires been attributed to the installation of the 1.7 million wireless meters in BC. He also debunks the claims of electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Tom Fletcher believes that all this is fear-mongering, and the Greens and the NDP are taking advantage of the fear. QToday wanted to give a balanced view So just as another perception of the smart meter, we went to stopsmartmetersbc.ca, a website you can check out. The problems this group sees can be categorized under the following areas: costs, damage to appliances, environmental concerns, fire, explosions, health, interference, loss of jobs, privacy. They have a whole array of concerns with these smart meters. So what do you think? Do you know people who have refused the meters? I do know a couple people. And BC Hydro is asking them to change their minds. If you have an opinion on the matter and some concerns, or maybe you have a different opinion, give us a shout at QToday at qcatv.ca. So what do you think?
So I do believe it's a very controversial issue, absolutely, and I have heard that there has been indicators that it's bothered pacemakers and interfered with computer applications, etc. So I'm sure we'll hear more about this in the coming future here as we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the smart meters.
Yeah, we'll definitely be following up this story in the future,
Yes.
so we'll keep in touch on this one.
So we're going to move on to volunteers that make a difference in our community, and the Canadian Cancer Society of Quesnel recently did an article about the value of the people who commit to the cause and profiled some of them in the Caribou Observer. So the first one we're going to take a look at today is Jean Muir. Jean is a 15-year veteran of this Canadian Cancer Society unit. She is a very prominent figure in Quesnel. She is lately become known as the top Avon lady.
Excellent.
Very good for Jean.
All right. Next up, we have Ron Campbell. Where Ron and his wife Betty are likely to be. Ron has held the position of president for more than 2 terms and currently is the interim president. He is sometimes even known, even in his own secretary, at unit meetings these days. Occasionally, he spares at the office.
Yes, he does. And Ron, of course, he's a very familiar face for us here at QToday.
Absolutely.
Another volunteer that that we want to honor is Kathy Briggs. And Kathy's held the position as the Relay for Life organizer and fundraising organizer for the past 5 years. She's a very prominent figure in Quesnel and certainly will be missed as she goes to the regional office in Prince George for a short spell.
And we also would like to recognize Vera Krokish. Vera has volunteered with the Canadian Cancer Society unit, Quesnel unit, for more than 12 years. She has been a dedicated Monday office volunteer. Now, one will meet her on Tuesday. She offers a cheerful laugh of a joking comment for a fellow volunteer, the client, caller, and visitor alike.
Yes, and we have kudos to go out to some of the other volunteers, and they are Rosina and Cheryl, Beth, Jeanette, Anne, Glenda, Betty, and Gertie. So thank you all, those volunteers for the Canadian Cancer Society. We certainly appreciate you in our community.
We certainly do. And moving on, the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Canada are celebrating 100 years. That is a long time. Fantastic.
Yoo-hoo, that is.
You know, many of us look back and remember a person who helped them in their formative years. And well, if our readers would like to thank someone in their past for their help, they can go to a website, and that's big-shoutout.ca, and you can reflect on your pleasant memories of someone who's helped you out in the past there. So, in honor of the 100th birthday, QToday will be airing a few messages from the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and this one's called Start Something. Enjoy.
Now we'll move on to From the Field, and we have some city snippets that are council clippings from the regular council meeting of January 21st. The residents in South Quesnel have been asked if they would like to receive garbage collection service from the City of Quesnel. A formal request has been sent out to the association, and we're waiting back for their response. So we'll be following up with that, as extra funding will be needed to purchase equipment to handle that. The new Tourism and Civic Pride Committee has 7 community members locally here appointed to it. Aaron Zilak, April Gothic, Patty Morgan, Stephanie Waring, Cody Dillabo, Julie Lemke, and John Goodwin will each serve 2-year terms. And Councilman Scott Elliott is the committee chair for that.
And we're moving on to our feature interviews. What's first up there,
Oh, first up this time will be the Quesnel Chimney Sweep man known as Mike. And as you know, I've started a Stop and Shop Quesnel segment for QToday to profile our home-based businesses. So we'll get started with Mike.
Let's check it out.
Good day, Quesnel. It's Susan MacNeill once again with the home-based business segment. I'm pleased to welcome Mike Murphy today.
Thank you.
He's with our Quesnel Chimney Service. As you can tell by our set, he's brought a few of the items, of course, that a good chimney sweep always has in his toolbox. So Mike, can you tell us what it is exactly that you're bringing together here as a chimney sweep in Quesnel?
Well, I provide a cleaning service to maintain your wood burning appliance or pellet appliance. And it's just general knowledge that you should keep it cleaned once a year. Just that way you get to inspect the whole unit and to make sure that it is running safe.
So what's the difference, Mike? Tell me what's the difference between a chimney that's burning wood and a chimney that's burning pellets, because you know I've actually stopped burning wood now and I have a pellet stove, and I would be interested in knowing how you maintain the two.
Well, pellets basically is solid fuel. It is wood, just pressed into a little, and you need power to run a pellet stove, so that's the other difference. And the cleaning is a little more technical because you have to dissect more of the unit to get at the parts.
So when you say dissect more of the unit of the pellet stove, you're saying that you have to like pretty much get in there and start pulling it apart.
Yes.
and cleaning it.
Yes, you have to get into the burn pot, you have to get into other clean out areas of the motor or the auger assembly.
And so for chimney purposes, does the pellet stove emit as much exhaust as a wood burning stove that's burning logs?
No, the exhaust is it's a finer exhaust. It doesn't, and it has a 0 clearance factor. Not like a wood stove needs depending on the size of the wood stove, it determines the.
So you brought with you here a sample board that you made, and you're talking about clearance. So I'm hoping the folks at home would be interested in knowing what that clearance factor is for the wood stove as compared to your pellet stove. You said it was 0 clearance for the pellet, but this is for a wood stove.
Well, you sometimes. Yes, you wouldn't need this probably for a pellet stove because you can put a pellet stove within about an inch of a wall.
Okay.
And a wood stove usually is at least, well, minimum, probably about 8 inches.
Okay, so explain how this works.
And this is basically what your wall looks like with the stud, the drywall, the steel channel to put your cement board on or the steel, and then I just tiled that. But ideally the channel is screwed to the stud. The cement board is screwed to the channel, which does not penetrate the drywall into the stud. So you're not creating a conductor of heat through your shield into the stud.
So this is actually acting as a spacer.
It's an
and
air
then this is the heat shield here.
Yes.
This is the air space that you need before you come to your gyprock.
And when you do it, you have it up an inch above the floor minimum, and 1 to 3 inches at the top. And the channel is supposed to be vertical, not horizontal. So that way you create a conductivity of airflow through the shield to keep it cool. Plus, with the heat shield, you get, with this way, it's 67% reduction factor for your clearance for wood stove.
Oh, okay.
For how close you can have your wood stove when you want to get it closer to the wall so you don't crowd out your room with a hearth.
Right, okay. Oh, I get it, okay.
The hearth has to be 18 inches in front of the stove, 8 inches on left and right side, and 8 at the back on most every appliance.
So it's quite a bit different having a wood burning stove that's burning pieces of wood like trees that we're cutting down to burn wood, as
yeah.
opposed to the pellet stove, which you're right, it is wood because it is compressed pellets.
Right.
Okay. So now, Michael, tell us a little bit about your service. I'm sure you're really busy at this time of year, and
Sometimes.
maybe you could just tell us a little bit about the differences of chimneys and the
yes.
purpose of what you're doing.
Right. Well, I do maintenance of and repair of chimneys, brick chimneys, and installations of stainless and brick. And I brought a sample of some of the tools and brushes. I got steel brushes for masonry chimneys, and all stainless steel chimneys must use a nylon brush, not a steel brush.
Why is
It
that?
will wear out, your warranty will be void. It will scar the stainless and then make it weak.
Okay.
And
So it scores it up.
yeah,
Okay.
and it's not
we don't
good.
wanna
So
do that.
then
Okay.
you'll just wear it out sooner, and you might have a fire. So that's not good.
Okay. So I see you brought with you today a solid fuel heating questionnaire. And could you tell me a little bit about what this is? Is this for an inspection?
This is for a wet inspection, or a wood stove or masonry chimney or any type wood burning solid fuel appliance. And I do that, and most insurance companies require this particular form, which I have these forms in stock all the time, and I do this service.
Okay. And so how would we get in touch with you, Mike?
I have primarily in the phone book, the CJ directory, and
And your phone number would be?
778-414-2446.
Okay.
And I have a cell, 250-983-5716. And
And what about email? Because some people email.
I have an email
Okay.
too, so that is mjjmurphy55@hotmail.com.
Okay. So, and now are you on Facebook?
No, I don't do that.
You don't do Facebook. Well, some of us don't do Facebook, some do. So we just want to know all the avenues and how we can contact you.
I haven't tried it, yes. So.
So do you work strictly right out of your home,
Yes.
your truck, and you're a mobile unit?
I'm a mobile
Okay.
unit. I work out from my home base. I have a lot of supplies there, but I'm on the road just to go and
Okay.
inspect and do the service of whatever it needs to be.
Can you just give me a ballpark idea of a basic brick chimney and what it would cost to come in and have a cleaning done if there was nothing really wrong with it?
A cleaning usually runs about $125.
So you know, folks, it sounds like $125 is a pretty good investment to prevent burning your house down at this time of year. We see the fire department responding to lots of house fires. So Michael, thank you so much for coming today. Really appreciate it. And folks, if you think you need your chimney clean or you've never had it clean, perhaps you need to give Michael a call. He can come out and give you a consult and let you know the particulars. Thanks, Quesnel. That's it for today.
That was great. So next we have the Quesnel Arts Council, and they are celebrating their 40th anniversary in Quesnel. The council mission is to profile the arts in our community, and we have a two-part series. So today we'll do the first part, and it's describing the background of the council promoting arts in our community, and that's going to be with Lana Johnson and Bernice Heinzelman. And then I'll just mention quickly, next week we'll have part 2, which will talk all about their special event that they're planning for Saturday, February the 16th. So let's check out part 1 with the Quesnel Arts Council.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. I'm here with Lana Johnson. Hi, Lana.
Hi.
And Bernice Heinzelman. How are you? Good to see you, both of you. Thanks very much for coming on the show. You're with the Quesnel District Community Arts Council, a big organization in our town that represents many members promoting the arts. And you have a big event coming up. Lana, want to tell us, give us a little teaser on that?
Okay. It's the Quesnel and District Community Arts Council's 40th anniversary celebration, and we're having an event called Celebrating the Arts. It's going to be hosted at the West Fraser Timber Room in the Quesnel and District Arts and Recreation Center on Saturday, February 16th from 1 till 4. And I think we'll give you more details on the actual event and another
In a little
show.
while. Yes, the next program. But for this program, Bernice, you've been involved with the Arts Council for a long time, and why not let's talk to the people at home a little bit about what the Arts Council does and what you're proud of and what it does.
Well, to start with, I'd just like to let our audience know how the Arts Center came about. And in 1988, there was a referendum that was held for the second arena, and it failed. Then it was decided that the Alec Fraser Park and the second arena and the Arts Center would be added to the referendum in 1989. It was also decided at that time that the 400-seat theater would have been added. However, it was felt that at 1.7 million that the cost was too prohibitive.
And that was 7 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
and therefore the Community Arts Council worked very hard to ensure that that referendum would pass, and people like Pat Wallstrom went door knocking at all the doors in Quesnel to let them know about the importance of this referendum. So they played quite an important role in helping to see that the referendum was passed. And in 1973, the Quesnel District Arts Council became a non-profit society. They had several members, and they've done a lot of things in our community. I can mention the member groups that belong today.
That'd be good. Let's give them a shout out.
And they are the Quesnel Agriculture and Exhibition Society, Harvest, which is Caribou Agriculture Producers Association, Quesnel Festival of the Performing Arts, Quesnel Live Arts, Quesnel Children's Concert now is a committee of the Quesnel Arts Council. We've taken that over because they've had a lack of volunteers.
Okay.
Quesnel Old Time Fiddlers, who've been around for a long time, Quesnel Quilters Guild, Quesnel Word Spinners, and Quesnel Shirawi Twins, and Quesnel Theatre Action Group, Friends of the Library, Quesnel Art Gallery, and we're pleased that the River City Music Association has just joined our group. And we have several events that we've put on throughout the years. They produced a calendar in the early years, and they had art walk, which were paintings and other artifacts that, or not artifacts, but other art things that the member groups had made were on display in the stores downtown. They also did the Holly and Ivy, and today we are working on, well, we've had 3 $5,000 grants to put on Art in the Park at 10 Mile Lake. The festival for children. Last year we had a 2-day festival with over 600 children attending. Then we've also had another one for the Winter Carnival and the Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
And the opening of the gallery. Unfortunately, those grants are no longer available to us. In addition to that, we've had a Gallery of Honor. We hold that every second year, and we honor 3 groups, an adult, a posthumous, because we're trying to catch up because we've had so many wonderful artists in our community, and as well as that youth. And we participate in the Winter Carnival with arts. We also give our member groups funding, which we get from the BC Arts Council to help them with their programs. And we've given out over $20,000 in scholarships to students who are from grade 12 who are going to pursue their careers. So I think that we've had quite an impact in our community.
Certainly have.
And where would we be without the arts? What would our communities be like?
Okay, on that time, we're out of time for this week, but we'll come back next week, and we're going to talk more about the event that's coming up, and maybe a little bit wrap up on where would we be without the arts.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, back to you guys.
So in closing, I would just like to talk a little bit about the event coming up on February 5th in Spirit Square. It's called Toque Tuesday, and this is in support of Raising the Roof. This is a Canada-wide long-term solutions for Canada's homeless initiative. So 80% of the $10 price of a toque goes to supporting this great cause. So again, it's February 5th at Spirit Square, 11 to 2 p.m., Raising the Roof Toque Tuesday. So that should be a good event. It's usually
Yeah.
well attended. The weather's been pretty good lately, so we're hoping to see you there.
That's great. Well, I think that's about it for today's show. We want to hear from you with your stories and your comments on our show. We talked about a lot today. Let us know what you think. Whatever you think is important, we of course think is important. And you, of course, you can watch us on Shaw Cable 10, QCATV.ca, and we also have some shows on YouTube, so check us out. Email us today at QToday@QCATV.ca with your story, or if you want to ask some questions, or heck, if you want to volunteer with our organization. And remember,
Q Today is about,
Quesnel talking to Quesnel.
as we leave today, here is Serendipity in minor swing, and as usual, Christine Allen is on percussion.